Hey everybody, welcome to tonight's IncrediChat. We're going on a Thursday night, back to our regular times. We've done a few weeks ago, but we're back tonight with an all new live IncrediChat. And tonight, as you guys have been seeing, we've been posting like crazy on our Instagram page. It's October, Scoobtober, and tonight's IncrediChat's going to be all about Scooby Doo. So without further ado, we have a great show tonight. I'm gonna bring in our first guest, and our main guest tonight, who runs a Instagram page, Facebook page, Scooby Doo and Cameron Too. So Cameron, welcome to IncrediChat tonight. It's good to have you with us.
Oh, thanks for having me on. I'm so excited to be here.
And people are popping in already, which is great. So Cameron, you have and I mainly know you from your Instagram page.
Yeah.
But you have and you can see a huge Scooby-Doo collection. You are probably one of the biggest Scooby fans that are out there.
Oh, thank you.
So tell us a little bit about yourself and Scooby-Doo, and how did you get into the world of Scooby-Doo?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I started when I was a kid. When I was born, my mom she had that Warner Brothers and I have it somewhere, but it's a little plush stuff Scooby, and it says, and he's holding a blanket. It says it's a boy, and she put that with me when I was a baby. I loved it. I grew up watching Scooby Doo on ABC, on CBS. I mean, I watched it on all the networks. Growing up watching the VHS, anything I could ever collect, I collected. So I never started at a late age. I started at an early age as a kid. So when I say, I've been a fan ever all my life, it's the truth. I've been a fan all my life, and I've never really outgrew Scooby. I've gone through when I was a kid, in high school, college, and it's always stuck with me. I've loved collecting Scooby Doo. I've met some amazing people, running Scooby Doo and Cameron Too. I started Scooby Doo and Cameron Too about 2019. I kick myself in the butt all the time. I wish I would have started a little bit early, but I love jumping in when I did. When I jumped in, it was about the 50th anniversary of Scooby-Doo. And so it was a perfect time. I knew it was the 50th anniversary. He's been around for 50 years. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to start my own page. It's a little bit of a risk, but I'm going to jump on and do it. I started Facebook, then I hopped on Instagram, then Twitter, YouTube, TikTok. And then I finally just kept growing and growing and growing. Let me tell you something. The Scooby-Doo fandom, the Scooby-Doo community has just been absolutely incredible. I mean, Scooby-Doo, we both love Scooby-Doo. We know that everybody watching tonight loves Scooby-Doo. And so it's just been incredible to be surrounding by people that love Scooby-Doo in a community it's incredible. So like I said, I love Scooby-Doo. I've loved them ever since I was a kid. And yeah, I don't think I'll ever stop loving Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, you said, and I'll share so I'd say my first Scooby-Doo show. I'm going to date myself, and then if you want to date yourself, I would say my first Scooby-Doo show that I grew up watching that I remember it sticks out the most is the Scooby-Doo and Dynamite, and then Laugh Olympics. So so you can kind of gauge where I am from. And again, that was at ABC back in like the late 70s, early 80s. Which was your first Scooby-Doo on ABC or in general?
So it was a Scooby-Doo show, and my first ever episode I saw was the Headless Horseman of Halloween. And when I first saw that, I got hooked. And actually, my top series of Scooby-Doo is the Scooby-Doo show. I love it. And then, when I tell people that, they're like, why is it not Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? Scooby-Doo, Where Are You is just an amazing series. But I felt like when they hopped over and did the Scooby-Doo show after the new Scooby-Doo movies, I felt like they knew what they were doing. They had some incredible mysteries, great stories, and they were ready and roaring to go. And they had some great episodes. So that's what I remember from when I was a kid, mainly just the Scooby-Doo show and Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? Now, as I got a little older, like in 2002 and all that, I kind of grew up with What's New Scooby-Doo as well. And that was a great series, but if I'm being honest, the Scooby-Doo show, Scooby-Doo, Where Are You, Laugh Olympics, and Pup Named Scooby-Doo. That's what I really grew up on.
Yeah. And and Grand Slam Comedy just wrote classic cartoon theme song. And with Scooby-Doo, and you mentioned the Scooby-Doo show, because and that was again the same time as that Dynamite program, the Dynamite show. for me, there's something, of course, there's the classic Scooby-Doo, Where Are You theme song, which everybody knows and loves. I love the theme from the Scooby-Doo show with him on the
yes,
the
jet ski.
The jet ski and
Yes.
at him, and then, you know, Shaggy singing in it. Like, I think that's my favorite. That might be my favorite theme song of all.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a good one. It really was. I love that theme song. And then another theme song I really loved was the new Scooby-Doo Mysteries. That was a good one where it's zooming in on him when he's wearing that trench coat in the alley.
And they're doing the Thriller.
Yeah, the Thriller, and then they're going along, and it's Daphne and Scrappy and Shaggy. I thought it was just such a catchy theme song. It's always I just lay in bed at night and it's just playing in my head. I'm like, golly, but it's really is. I love that theme song a lot.
Well, and I you know, the thing for the Scooby-Doo show that I loved is, like, it's almost an exciting part too, because, you know, dun, 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 and it says Hanna-Barbera presents. So, like, all the other shows, like Hanna-Barbera, I guess for that year in the 70s, wanted to do like Hanna-Barbera presents, because they did that with Dynamite too. You know, the other ones, it was just like, oh, here's Scooby-Doo, or the Scooby-Doo Mysteries, you know,
right?
But like, they get you really hyped up into that. And of course, if we're talking about the theme songs, I think another great soundtrack was obviously A Pup Named Scooby-Doo. I mean,
I loved it.
How can you not love that song? And then the wacky, well, I mean, all the shows had music, but the wacky music from the chase songs from Pup Named Scooby-Doo.
Oh, and like, just like, I always joke about it in the community, because I always want to meet those like soulful women that sing like the Pup Named Scooby-Doo song, like throughout the episodes. I'm like, oh my gosh, I love that. And I bet, yeah, it's, to me, the music and A Pup Named Scooby-Doo just really pushed that show along. It was funny, it was wacky, it was just, it was, and I love seeing them as kids, you know. And I noticed that, you know, in the 80s, you know, Hanna-Barbera kind of went through that with the Flintstone Kids, you know, Pup Named Scooby-Doo, you know what I mean, Yo-Yo Yogi. So yeah, it's kind of like they were going through a kid craze. Well,
I think everybody, you know, Muppet Babies is really what started that.
Yeah, Muppet Babies too, yeah.
And everybody's like, ooh, Muppet Babies is a hit, so let's juvenile all of our characters. So, and obviously some were hit and miss. Yo Yogi was one of those ones that was definitely a miss. Flintstone Kids was pretty successful though. That was for a while.
Yeah.
So, and then with Scooby-Doo again, you know, all the different iterations. What are your thoughts on Scrappy?
I love Scrappy. I love how I love Scrappy, and then it's like secret code. I don't know. No, I promise I do love Scrappy. You know, he saved the franchise.
He did.
He did. He saved the franchise when he came on for the Scooby-Doo and Scrappy-Doo. You know, that show was excellent. I loved that show. I thought it was a lot of fun. You know, and a lot of people were like, well, you know, he was annoying and he drove the, you know, the series down. I think a lot of people forgot that, you know, he was a puppy. Puppies, you know, are very mischievous. And, you know, I mean, so I've always loved Scrappy. Of course, you know, I know Scott Ennis very well. You know, he voiced Scrappy in the live action movie.
Yep.
And, you know, I talked to Scott one time when, you know, this was when I very first like met him when I was a little bit younger, and we talked, and I said, Scott, you know, I loved how you voiced Scrappy, but, you know, were you happy with what they did to Scrappy in the live action movie? He said, no. He said, you know, when they were tossing around ideas as far as, you know, what if we made it like the cartoon where like Scrappy was like a part of the mystery, and like, you know, Scrappy was there and solving the mystery with the gang, and, you know, Scooby was having to, you know, Scrappy's getting into trouble and Scooby was saving him each time. And I thought that would have been totally fun, you know, but for some reason they just felt like they had to make him the villain. You know, I know there's been a lot of jokes. Cartoon Network's made a lot of jokes about him. You know, that Scooby-Doo reunion, you know, they really jabbed at him. I didn't like that. And again, I know we're talking about a cartoon character, but, you know, you throw a cartoon character in there to save the franchise and it does its job, you know, and then you turn around and the whole fandom just like, not the whole fandom, but majority of the fans just like tear them apart. And I'm like, come on. Like, I'll be honest with you. Like, I love Scooby, Shaggy, Daphne, Freddy, Velma. Like, the five of them, that is a perfect, like, combination. Like, you cannot, you know, when you take Velma, Fred, and Daphne away, it still works with Shaggy and Scooby. You know, when you take Shaggy and Scooby away, it just doesn't work because it's not Scooby-Doo anymore. But I've always loved the side characters that has always been Scooby-Doo. Let me tell you something. Scooby-Dum, Scooby-Dee, and Scrappy-Doo. I've loved them. They were just fantastic. And I always hoped that we would get a Scooby-Doo family reunion movie or episode one day, but Fingers crossed. Maybe we will in the future. I don't know.
That would make a lot of sense. They should do that. And like you mentioned about the hate, and Rice says, "Hey Cam," and Rice wants Scrappy to come back. Scrappy's the best. I want him to come back.
Oh, hey Rice. Rice is actually one of the fans in the community, and he loves Scrappy. If anybody loves Scrappy the most, I think it's Rice. So,
and Scrappy saved it, and I mean he was there at the I guess the end of part of it, because I think by the time they got to 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo, like I think they were starting to see like they were kind of drowning, which is why then they went that other direction with pup named Scooby-Doo, obviously, and cashing in on that. But then like after that, then they went back to the original game, because obviously even in because I'd say the last one before 13 Ghosts was the Scooby-Doo show, right? Not the Scooby-Doo show, the new Scooby-Doo Mysteries, where they had brought Daphne back, and then Freddy and Velma, in a very limited capacity. So, and again, I haven't talked to anybody about this, but yeah. I wonder, why did they go without the gang, or the full gang, just Daphne at that point? It's interesting. Do you have any insight on that one?
When we talked to some of the people that had their hands dipped in a 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo, or the new Scooby-Doo Mysteries, when Freddy and Velma weren't around, they were just saying they were trying to mix it up, just see where they could go with it, see if they would work with the chemistry of just having Daphne. And again, it was nothing against Fred or Velma. Everybody loved Fred and Velma.
Yeah.
But they were just kind of mixing it around a little bit, just kind of switching it up. And they said, they were taking a big risk on the 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo. I love the 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo. It's easily one of my top 5 series.
Absolutely.
I just thought they did such a great job. I hate how they didn't end it, with having the 13 episodes. I mean, I know they came back and did the 13th movie, and it wasn't a terrible movie. It was just
I don't think it did it justice, though.
I don't think it did either. I didn't like, and spoilers for any, I mean, it's been out for quite a while. So, I mean, people, if you haven't seen it, come on, you need to go see it. But, at the end, when they're saying, that it was just all a hoax, and and they open the box and no demons come out. I mean, that kind of made me upset a little bit. I'm like, okay, hold on now. And then kind of like the Scooby-Doo Return to Zombie Island, how they said like the zombies weren't real, and that they breathed some gas, and it was all just, and I'm thinking to myself, it's best just sometimes to leave stuff alone. Sometimes people think that you can make a trilogy, or make a second movie, like a prequel. I guess is what I'm trying to say. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It's a hit or miss. But I feel like, take Top Gun. I know we're going like way off, but take Top Gun, for example. Yeah. The new Top Gun, was excellent. I loved it better than the first one. But I loved it because they paid tribute to the first movie. You know what I mean? So I felt like when they were doing these new Scooby-Doo movies that paid tribute to the old, Zombie Island and the 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo,
they should have been true like sequels. And
no, they didn't feel like true sequels.
No.
And the fandom was really, really disappointed. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, Warner Brothers, like, you should really start listening to your fans more. Your fans are telling you what you want. And again, I'm not against Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers has done a good job of keeping Scooby-Doo alive. They have. But I wish they would just listen to their fans a little bit more, and what the fans want, and where we want to see Scooby-Doo go. So,
yeah. Rice just wants you to give them a thumbs up. There you
You're
go,
cool, Rice. You're cool.
But yeah, and it's funny. So I this is my first time in a long time watching some of these Scooby flicks. Again,
I gotta tell you, I'm very impressed with you. I mean, I've been seeing you post on your story. You've been like starting off with like the earlies and going on. It's impressive.
And I'm trying to go in release order. I'll give a little spoiler. And I'm sure you've probably seen the new one, Trick or Treat Scooby-Doo, already.
Yes, I have.
I have not watched it. I know it comes out because, listen, I love physical media, and I'm sure you're going to buy a copy of it anyways.
Oh yes.
But I'm going to watch it, and that'll be day 31 for Halloween.
Oh, good.
Spoiler on it, because I'm going in release order. But going back and watching these, and I mean, obviously, I skipped Arabian Nights, because it is a Scooby movie, but it isn't, right?
Yeah. No, I know what you mean.
So, but I started with the Superstars 10 one, which really came at the, and those were out the same year as Pup Named Scooby-Doo had come out. And then I went from those three, which were definitely that Scooby, Shaggy, Scrappy, trying to do whatever they were going to do with that, mixing it up, which again, also some interesting things like the Boo Brothers, the Grimwood Girls, and the Werewolf and Googie and all of them, going into then a different format with those first 4 flicks, Zombie Island, which is Ghosts, Alien Invaders, and Cyber Chase, and then seeing where they went after that, because again, the format, like you said, Zombie Island and Return to Zombie Island, the format of and again, I mean, it's been like 20 years, right?
Right.
Roughly. Obviously, the formats and different people have changed. But speaking of people changing, and just as we're talking about those 4 films, we have our very first special guest with us here tonight. And we're going to welcome in television's Lance Falk, who worked on Zombie Island, Witches, Ghosts, Alien Invaders, Cyber Chase, and then you also did some stuff on some of the earlier Scooby stuff, right, Lance? Welcome.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Excellent. Well, yeah, I worked in Hanna-Barbera so long, I have my hands in a lot of Scooby things. If we're going forward beyond Cyber Chase, I was a prop designer on the Samurai Sword one. So I've worked on 5 of those movies.
So we were talking just about like the different versions, because then you did some stuff on Pup Named Scooby-Doo too, right?
Yeah, I cleaned up like the main models for the show.
Yeah. So in the world of Hanna-Barbera, when you guys relaunched, I mean, essentially, Zombie Island was kind of like a reboot of the original gang, right? When you guys went into that, what were the directions from Hanna-Barbera and Warner Brothers? Because that was also like really the first Hanna-Barbera Warner Brothers joint thing, right?
Yeah. Well, as far as I know, the studio is kind of there was a merging process, and Alien Invaders, the 3rd movie, was the last thing that said a Hanna-Barbera production. And then from then on, it was Warner Brothers presents blah, 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 Bill and Joe, blah, blah, blah. But as far as like having the stamp of Hanna-Barbera on it, I think that was it. As far as what kind of directives we got, they were pretty light on us on the first one because they didn't think much of it. They were experimenting with the direct-to-video market. They were bringing Scooby back after a long absence, and they picked Scooby because moms in like grocery stores and Target and so forth, filling out a form, seemed to know Scooby more than anybody else. It's as capricious as that. And so they kind of left us alone and said, well, let's try something. And we were a team that was mainly doing development work, and that never went anywhere. And well, give them a Scooby movie. We did the Scooby movie, and it vastly outperformed anything that their wildest dreams. And so, of course, as soon as that happened, other people came in and said, now you have to do this script from these guys, and you have to do that. So we were rewarded by massive amounts of interference going forward. But the first one, we were kind of left alone. And I have an ego about the 3rd movie, but I think the first movie is really the best one because we were left alone. We could make it really scary. But mainly we were left alone, which never happened again. So.
And what's interesting too is like, watching that first one, even the animation style is a little bit different than what they were doing, in like the traditional like Hanna-Barbera way. Like the characters did have I know I'm not an expert on it, but I almost say like it had like an almost like anime feel to it,
Well, the direct-to-video movies simply had more time, a bigger budget, and better resources, a more robust schedule, because they're not like cranking out one a week. We have months and months to do one of those. So just by dint of that, the direct-to-video stuff tends to have more production value. And You know, it might be. Yeah, it's funny you mentioned the animation style, but it might be because we have time to call retakes on things we don't like. So it just weeds out the weaker scenes, which bring down a show. But if you have time to really, you know, call a lot of retakes and time to get maybe an A team at a studio rather than a C team and things like that, you know, it's going to look better. Yeah. We used a studio called Mook, and we already had a really good relationship with them. So that's just how it is. I mean, I think it's the same. It's not like lesser talents are involved in lesser things. It's just they have lesser resources. Gotcha. Like we're the same writers, same designers, same storyboard people, same music people, all those. But if you have like 3 months to make something or 6 months and you have like a couple of weeks, those numbers are all wrong, but you get the idea. You know, you're going to get a better product all the way around. It's going to look better, sound better. Acting is going to be more nuanced, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and that's like the one thing too, you know, and certainly starting with Witch's Ghost and then moving all the way forward. You're saying acting. They brought in some really big names for these direct-to-video movies too. Just as again, I've been going through them all this week or the last like 2 weeks, and like, oh yeah, I forgot that this person was in. Like, I mean, obviously Tim Curry was in a couple of them. Mark Hamill was in Witch's Ghost. Kathy and Jimmy, Lauren Bacall. Like they really did. They really pulled no stops there and got who they could get in there to do this.
Well, yeah, you have more of a budget.
Yeah,
that kind of thing. So.
Yeah, and Lance, I just want to throw this out there for you. Somebody wants to say, Sirajin says, where is it? Hold on, where there it is. Hey, Lance, it's the king of animation. So there you go. God. There you go. The other
question, maybe. Yeah,
there it is, the king of animation.
Well, thank you. That's very nice.
And you know, so I think we were backstage with me and Cameron before, but Grand Slam Comedy, because your second film, and if you look behind Cameron, you'll see them, introduced the soundtrack, a lot of music in that one, and those characters, the Hex Girls. Right. So, and the Hex Girls in the newer world of Scooby-Doo have kind of taken a life of their own. Like they're really popular. Well, I mean, let's talk about the Hex Girls for a minute. And you know, what was the incarnation of them? You know,
well, I'm gonna give Glenn a lot of credit for them, and Jim for designing them. Here's what I did design. Here's my contribution to the Hex Girls. Is there's an effect on. This is really old school comic stuff, but way back when they created Daredevil, a couple issues in, he was in this yellow and red bright outfit, and a couple issues in, there was an artist in Wally Wood who's a legendary comic artist, and how Wally Wood handled how Daredevil looked was he was mostly black, but he had a rim light that was red. And the details are red, and the light would hit him, but mostly it was black, and it looked even on cheap newsprint and color, it looked like satin. It had a really nice look. So with the Hex Girls, we wanted them in dark colors, but wanted them distinctive and wanted them kind of cool looking. So my little contribution is I did the color pass on them, and I colored them in black. And they gave one purple rim light, one red rim light, and one green rim light. And looking further, they never did that lighting treatment again. And if you look at Witch's Ghost, they look great in that movie. And then later on, they never did that black with rim light. Just one's red, one's purple, one's green. Doesn't work as well. Recently, I saw somebody sent me some. Sorry, dogs are gonna bark.
They know you're talking about Scooby-Doo.
My roommate just got here, Nate. You got to give him a minute. I'm gonna mute you because there's no. Okay, they shut up now. Okay. So I recently saw some really good Hex Girls cosplay. Like somebody sent me some pictures. Cameron, have you seen those?
I think so. I know they did some for the series they were going to do, the Mystery Incorporated series. They did really good. Well, and then there was some.
I think these are fans just at a convention or
Oh,
something.
okay, yeah.
But and by the way, Cameron, good to see you over here.
Yeah, I was about to say, good to see you.
You're
too.
like my other podcast life, and you know, so
good to see you as well.
So it's like the evil team up, you know. But they came up with that. What I thought was really interesting was Jane Wheedlin of the Go-Go's, like real great singer, famous singer. What in the audition they like Jennifer Hale better, who's technically not a singer, but she sings, and they used her for the lead vocal. I also heard Jane Wheedlin got engaged today.
Did you?
Saw that on social media. Yeah. Aww. She was a doll. I have a big 80s crush on her. She was really dynamite in the room. But that's definitely more of a Glenn idea. Now, remember, Witch's Ghost was a script that we inherited that we
was it really?
We fixed up and added a whole third. It originally ended with the unmasking, and we added this whole thing about the real Witch's Ghost shows up. And so that last third is us. And, the Hex Girls are in that story. And I don't know if they came with the script or we added them. That's a question for Glenn Leopold. Yeah. But in any event, he's the one that brought them to life, gave them personality. Jim Sandstrom drew them, designed them, so we got to take a little bit of credit for that. And yeah, it's a great, robust idea. We had an initial, like the fifth movie, we had the initial draft on that, and it was what ended up being the vampire one. Okay. And we ended up kind of leaving because of that outline, because there's no way we're gonna deal with that writer again. And I did like a page one rewrite of the outline, and just say like, here, okay, you like the Hex Girls, you like the idea of this rock concert, you like the idea of vampires, and I did something that would combine all those elements on like 2 pages, and I turned it in, and I was pulled in an executive's office. He says, "This is really good. This is a lot better than what we're going to do, but we're going to do it. So go pack your stuff." And I said, "Why does he?" Well, he has a contract. He said, "Why didn't I get a contract? I've been working here for 10 years. This guy comes in and writes one shitty script and he gets a contract? How does that?" I didn't say that, but that was the reality of the situation. And I was complimented. And after being complimented on my work, I had to go back to my office and pack it because I was fired or laid off, as our whole crew was. So I probably shouldn't have said any of that, but there you go.
It's that it's showbiz, and that the word is business in there, Yeah. But the thing is, and that's what we were talking about is, so the movies that you worked on, those 4 flicks, the whole premise of those were really the ghosts are real, So obviously you had the zombies and
it's a mixture.
Yeah,
it's there. I think I know I've told the story before. I told it on that a podcast named Scooby Doo. So I'll tell the story again really quickly. When we were assigned to do that job, there were 4 of us in a room. We were kind of the brain trust. So it was David Story running everything, Jim Stenstrom, who was the director but also the main designer. There's Glenn Leopold, the main writer, and then me. I was kind of ancillary to everybody, and just part of the brain trust. And I had written SWAT Cats and Johnny Quest with Glenn Leopold. So we worked together as writers as well. So I'm surprised I haven't told you this story. Okay, so right off the bat, Jim says, guys, do we have to do these unmaskings? He's an artist, he wants to draw real monsters and things. Can't we do real monsters? Isn't that formulaic and blah, blah, blah. And Glenn Leopold jumps in who's like the biggest Scooby fan out of the four of us. And he says, no, you have to have the unmasking. It's Scooby-Doo. That's tradition. That's what you do. And if you don't do that, you're not honoring the fans or the property or any of that. And you remember, Cameron, I had that speech about stewardship on your podcast. Well, it's stewardship. You got to do that. However, Davis brought up a really good point. So he was the third guy. And he said, here's the thing, though. In 22 minutes, you can yank people around and give them little clues. And at the end, some unmasking. If you do that for 3 times that, it's not very satisfying. Like to go through this whole thing and go, oh, it's really baloney and it's the same ending we always do and da-da-da. And also, it's if you think of it structured like a joke where it's a setup and a punchline. And do you want to hear a joke that's 20 minutes or do you want to hear it for an hour and a half?
Yeah.
Like with the same punchline. So that's why I think, in my opinion, like Twilight Zone works really well in half-hour format, but not so much in longer formats, because what happens is you just keep giving them clues for an hour and 10 minutes. They're going to get there before the reveal. But if you hit them for like 15 minutes, they're not going to get there yet. So, or do you make it so hard that no one can solve it? So it's a problem. It's a problem maintaining the structure of a mystery in a full-length thing. So I'm the fourth guy. And this is my best contribution to any of this stuff, was we got to do both. So we give them their unmasking, but we also have to give them some real monsters. And then clues from one thing will imply the other thing. And so it thickens the broth of the story. It makes it a real rich stew.
Yeah.
And that way, when you get the end, it's not a cheat, but there's a lot going on. So Witch's Ghost is a good example of the first. Most of the story is an unmasking, but then you reveal like the real Witch's Ghost is mad about somebody
what they're doing,
pretending to be a Witch's Ghost, or in Alien Invaders, I can talk about mine pretty well. In Alien Invaders, the opening credits, you see it's a flying saucer. There's no question it's coming in through the credits from outer space. There's no question. And then the Mystery Machine's going through the desert. And a obvious UFO that's beyond any kind of earthly technology buzzes the Mystery Machine, which spins out and crashes. And so they're walking in the desert, and here come these aliens, these big-headed guys on hovercraft. Well, those are the fake guys. But you as the audience connected those dots that, well, I saw a flying saucer, now I see aliens. They must be real because the saucer's real. And so as you go through the story, the group is investigating, real legitimate clues. And Shaggy and Scooby are hanging out with these 2 girls they like. And they're really the aliens, right?
Spoiler alert.
Right?
But 20-year-old movie.
but the other, well, it's 20 years, when. So there's got to be a statute of limitations. So if you think about it, Velma and Fred and Daphne are following clue after clue and interviewing people and really kind of putting together. And Shaggy and Scooby literally fall through a hole and solve it. Yeah. Without doing any work. And that's kind of my nod that they are kind of agents of chaos, you know.
And that's generally what happens with Shaggy and Scooby. Right. So we have another person waiting in the wings. Lance, you're welcome to sit here and join with us, because there was another I guess you might say agent of chaos who helped solve a mystery in last year's Scooby-Doo movie that came out, because it's awesome. They do like 1 or 2. I wish they were more consistent. They were doing like 2 a year, but now it seems like we're only getting 1 a year, unfortunately.
I don't know what's going on.
So, but I think this is, and I joke with this guy. This is from like he was the one of the stars of Scooby-Doo 37, as I call it. I think it was 37. I don't know what number it is. I want to welcome tonight Marty Grabstein, the voice of Courage the Cowardly Dog.
All right. Yeah, where's the applause?
Hey, Marty.
How are you?
So, Marty, Cameron, and then this is Lance Falk. Lance Falk worked on some of the earlier Scooby-Doo flicks like Zombie Island, which is Alien Invaders, which he was just talking to us about.
Hold on, Mike, before you go any, could you make it bigger?
Make what bigger?
The image of the 4 bigger.
How do I make it bigger? I can't make it bigger. The people at home see it bigger. We're in our studio here.
No, but you can control it. All right, you don't know how to do that. All right, that's okay.
I could give you the whole screen.
Yeah, no.
Just give myself the whole screen. Great job.
No, I don't want the whole screen. All right.
Anyway, so welcome, and we everybody, people are like, hey, it's Marty. It's Marty. So Marty, you were the co-star of one of these Scooby-Doo flicks that we're sitting here talking.
I was the co-star. Yes. Absolutely. Hold on a second. Let me see. Let me put my glasses on. Can I see this better? Oh yeah, I was the co-star, right? Anyway, yes, I was. How are you? By the way, I forgot Cameron.
Yes. How are you?
How are you, man?
I'm good. Good to see you.
You saw each other at Hill Country, right?
We sure did. Yes, I was with Scott.
That's right. You, me, and Scott. We did. Me and Scott did some nonsense. It was a great experience. Lance, I've never met you, but it's a pleasure meeting you. See what I'm doing, Mike? I'm doing all that, glad handing and saying hello to people in this wonderful
thing.
And see how excited Lance is by my Anyway, all right. This is already wonderful. I couldn't have asked for a better experience. All right. So yes, let's get back to Scooby-Doo. After all, that's what this is about, right? I'm just window dressing on this. So okay.
Well, Marty, so obviously you were Courage. So around the same time, Scooby-Doo was coming back with like the Zombie Island and all those flicks. Courage the Cowardly Dog had come on TV, right?
Right.
About 20 some odd years ago. And I mean, I think with the fandom alone, people always said, oh, and again, this is always just in a world 20 years ago where these things didn't really exist. People were like, oh, it'd be great if these two dogs finally got together. So a couple of years ago, I guess pre-pandemic-ish, right? You got the word that they were doing a Scooby-Doo and Courage movie, right? What was that like when they had reached out to you 20 years after the show and said, hey, we're doing
a movie? It was very exciting. First of all, the idea that I would be able to do this character again. I mean, they've been trying to bring Courage back. There've been numerous attempts to do it, and it seemed like it was going to happen, right, Cameron? Didn't you get the sense that they were going to couple of different tries? It seemed to just always falter in the end zone. So it was very exciting for me to be approached to do this show again. I mean, very, very happy to do that and love doing, But what I thought also was really cool was that I was being asked to do this crossover with a legendary, character, Scooby. I mean, Courage has its legendary sensibilities, but people remind me of. But I mean, Scooby-Doo since 1969, man. I mean, Scooby-Doo is like an empire, is the way I see it. So the idea that I would be sharing with Scooby-Doo was very exciting to me. I was really thinking, oh, this will be really, really cool. So it's wonderful.
Nice. And I like how you said it's an empire, because Lance, you and I have talked about that before. And at this point now, there's this vast world of Hanna-Barbera characters that Warner Brothers is like sitting on top of, right? And Cameron, I know you're a diehard Scooby fan. I don't know where you fall in the world, the rest of the Hanna-Barbera world. Lance, I know you love all that classic Hanna-Barbera stuff. But Scooby-Doo is just this character that never. We're glad, but he never seems like he's gonna go away. Like just yesterday, and I know Cameron, you probably know this. They restarted the Scooby-Doo and Batman Adventures comic book. They did a handful of issues, got canceled, and now it's back. And Lance, I know you talked about it because one of the bros like, what makes money? Scooby-Doo. What makes money? Batman. Oh, what a combination, right?
But they killed both those projects too.
Well, you're talking about the HBO Max stuff, the HBO Max
movie. Yeah.
Yeah. Was it? They just restarted the comic book again.
Yeah, but I mean the films the new head of Warner Brothers is apparently let me look at the word here. Genius, and so he killed the two cash cows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and the world of Scooby-Doo, I mean, and the world of Courage, because, and Cameron, you probably might know this better than I do because I'm only rehashing these. I think maybe going back outside of Goblin King, right? And again, we were talking about the real monsters with Lance just a few minutes ago. Going into the world of Courage, right? That was a different world of monsters again, but probably the first real world of real like monsters that Scooby's been in quite some time too, right?
A lot of fans in the fandom, in the community, I should say, loved the movie. They loved how it was kind of not in a Scooby setting, but kind of going into Courage's world. Because, it was Scooby and the gang actually going into nowhere. So the fans loved that. It was great.
I think that was amazing.
I did too. And, it was just, it was fun. It was wacky. Everybody's been asking for it. And they did a Cartoon Network bumper with Scooby-Doo and Courage when they were walking down the hallway, and they were both screaming Shaggy and Scooby and Courage. And so
you're saying back in 2005 or 6?
Yes, I think it was 2005, 2006, somewhere around there. And I remember fans loved it. And then we heard some rumors going in the community that there was going to be a Scooby-Doo and Courage movie. And a lot of people thought it was fake. A lot of people thought it was just, but then it came to light, and everybody just lost their minds over it. Yeah. So it was good.
I thought it was very, very good.
Actually. It was.
I thought it was a really good movie. And I read the script. So, of course, once I got over, I had a little bit of cringing activity for the first page or two because I could tell that the writers didn't exactly know how to couch Courage's expressions, right? So you didn't really kind of know, they didn't know exactly how to do that, right? So I would be like, let's see. I hopefully they'll, I can let them know, shed some light on how it would supposed to sound. But the story I thought was really good. Once I finished reading it, I thought, this is a good story, actually. This is actually a very good story. And I did, of course, secretly, my own personal interests in mind. I loved how much it featured Courage and how that it did take place in nowhere, and that at the end, Courage is the one who ultimately saves everybody, because they get caught in this weird cave and they can't get through, but only Courage can get through. I thought that was wonderful. I just dug that. And then when I did go into the recording of it, it was just so wonderful how they just embraced me and were very. So how would Courage say, let's try it a different way? How would Courage respond to that? And so they would change things. So some of the things that are in the movie, a little adjustments. I mean, this is not Hamlet, but I could have done it with, Hamlet too, with Cameron. All right. But no, I mean, it was really cool that, the way it was done. So very happy about that.
And Marty, let me ask you, when this was Thea, and so everybody that is watching, Thea White, this was her last time to come on and do the voice of, it was Mary. I hope I'm saying it right. Marion, am I saying it right? Miriam. Sorry, thank you. Yeah. But yeah, she, was that her? And then she passed away, and it just broke my heart.
So sad. Yeah, it was bad for Mike. Mike and I were both friends of hers. So very, very sad.
But Marty, like you were saying, Courage had such a great part in this movie, but Muriel, she really became another fourth member of the gang, if you will, right? Because she was solving the mystery with the three kids, which was really great. And I mean, Eustace, he was just there, he was doing his thing.
Just being the foil, so to speak.
Exactly. So I want to ask you, Lance, when they break down a Scooby movie, right? like how I mean, obviously with Courage, they thought, okay, cool, we want to do a Courage and Scooby team up, you know. But when picking characters for a movie, whether it be like a guest star thing or like, hey, we're gonna bring the Hex Girls back again, do they just take a bunch of scripts, or do they have like a idea like, well, we'd like to do this kind of team up, or we'd like to see Scooby go against this kind of monster this time?
Well, we were so early in the pipeline. You know, we did the first 4, right?
Yeah.
So first one was completely made up from nothing. The second one was given to us. The third one, I'm a big sci-fi guy, so I said, let's do a sci-fi one. And the fourth one was given to us. So I would say that like deeper into the series, beyond 4, like maybe when they're getting into 8 and 9 and 10, that's when they start having those conversations. And we were long gone by then, baby.
Yeah.
You know, so I love those team up ones. I wish they would do more of them across the board. You know, they did the Scooby meets the Wrestlers. They did Scooby meets Kiss. They did Scooby with Courage. We did a Johnny Quest meets Tom and Jerry, and it actually pulled it off. So I can't imagine that wasn't like some executive saying like, we have this thing and this thing. Let's mix the chocolate and peanut butter and see what happens. And I think in the wrestling case, it worked out really well. They got 4 movies out of that, and they all work well. So,
can I ask Lance a question? I mean,
no,
because I felt, and to be absolutely candid here, I felt that there was like almost no promotion of the Courage Scooby movie. And they went to the trouble to make a really great trailer, which they proceeded to show almost 3 months before the airing of it. And then that was it. In other words, they got me like 3 interviews with a few online blogs or something, which was fine, but really, like, there was no promote. They did not promote this thing at all. And they gave me, well, the COVID. COVID is the in-person promotion, but you can't promote it online. There's all types of promotion you could do. Why wouldn't they promote it?
Well, when we did, let's say we did one movie and it was a huge hit. Okay. So they're riding on that. And as far as I know, the only promotion they ever did for the follow-up movies that we were involved with was they would put together a little trailer that we really didn't have anything to do with. Mm-hmm. The promo department did it. And that trailer would be stuck on other Warner Brothers direct-to-video movies. Mm-hmm. But as far as like TV commercials or, your basic advertising, if you go to what used to be a video store where they used to sell VHS or whatever, there'd be a little standee and those things would be in it. I never saw any of that. Maybe it happened. I never saw it. But I never saw it for any of the DC stuff either. Going to Best Buy or and never really see anything. I wish I had a good answer for you, but I personally never saw any kind of promotion for you or me or anybody.
Well, the thing is, and I guess Cam, you can talk about this too. Is I mean, and Marty, you and I have had these conversations. I think Scooby-Doo is such a mainstay, like we were saying earlier. Like we Scooby-Doo is like printing money. Like we know if we're Warner Brothers, we know we're gonna do something with Scooby-Doo, and it's gonna work because, like you said, the moms at Target, Lance, they know who Scooby-Doo is. They see that DVD at the checkout line, they're gonna pick it up, right? Because we know Scooby-Doo, and it's funny again going back and watching like Lance's movies. The DVDs have all their features on it. So we're talking about Scott Innes and Frank Welker. There's interviews with Scott Innes and Frank Welker. Tim Curry does an interview on the Witches Ghost DVD, you know, and they're doing and it continues for a little bit, and like there'd be a music video or a how to draw a Scooby-Doo thing, and then, you know, I think I'm up to like Fantasaur now, and the features now have become bonus episodes. So even like those little documentaries. Like, and again, I don't want to say Warner's is maybe cheaping out on it, but they know that they don't need to do that little extra step for Scooby, because Scooby's going to be fine. You know what I mean?
But you measure that against what Disney does.
Yeah.
Everything. And it's not even in the ballpark.
Of course.
And it's not like people don't know who Mickey Mouse is. Yeah. So we don't need to bother to advertise him.
We're talking about bare minimum. I'm not talking about TV commercials. I know that's not going to be happening. That's too expensive. But I'm talking about just, you know, like just saying it's going to be on, planting it places, putting it. First of all, you would sell more, wouldn't you? I mean, isn't that the idea? You would sell more if more people knew it was actually happening.
But again, we're using the old paradigm. Now the paradigm is streaming.
Yeah.
And so many stores have stopped even carrying, like Costco doesn't carry DVDs anymore and things. So I think, if I'm going to guess, that people aren't sure how to handle streaming because it's a new thing. And it premieres on a certain day, but it's just there forever. You know, they're accessible forever. It's part of the library. So it's not buy it now for a limited time, or we're going to air it a couple times for a limited time, or whatever.
But the more you buy, the more people that stream it, the more money they're making. No,
you are correct. And I would say
weird thing.
You're going to see them promote internally on their streaming service as opposed to in the world.
So
I know, like the Courage movies coming to HBO. I think the Courage movies coming to HBO Max, if it hasn't already, very soon. And it has a Cartoon Network premiere, I think, in a week or so too.
I think it should already be on HBO Max if I'm not mistaken.
So this could be and a whole new audience finds it then.
Oh, you know, could this be it?
Do what? I'm sorry.
Could this be it? Could this be more promotion now?
I will say, if I can just jump in here real quick. I do remember when Scoob came out, you know, when it came to Walmart, you know, there was DVDs, but I remember with the DVDs, there was little access codes where you could start streaming it. And so that kind of made me nervous a little bit. And so I have a good contact at Warner Brothers, and I reached out to him and I said, hey, if you don't mind me asking, it could be a general vague question. Is Warner Brothers going to start going to more streaming? And that person was like, yeah. So you will, in the future, you will not see as much physical media. And I'm a guy that I love all my VHS. I mean, I still have all my VHS tapes, all my DVDs of Scooby Doo, and all my, you know, what I grew up on. And so it breaks my heart. I mean, I've collected Scooby-Doo promotional stuff. I mean, promotional posters I used to put up in the stores, promotional stand-ups, you know, where they put the VHSs on, and then I started to see it kind of go more towards a little bit in the 2000s, kind of going up a little bit more. Then I started seeing it go down, and then, you know, then we stopped really seeing it as much. And Marty, you know, the only thing I've seen of Courage was really on social media, which was a shame, because I used to see, you know, when they did commercials, you know, on Cartoon Network when a movie was coming out, or, you know, coming out on DVD, and they stopped that with Scooby-Doo for some reason. And, you know, and I don't know if you know this or not, Marty, but there's a store called FYE, and they released some Scooby-Doo and Courage merchandise. And so they just did it this year, which I kind of thought was weird. Why would you do it the next year and not do? And it's just sweatshirts and shirts of Scooby and Courage from.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
So why not do it as part of the promotion?
Exactly. Yeah. There you go.
So I need some of those.
I was about to say,
wear those, Marty.
I'll be talking to you.
But you know,
You're
I'll
gonna
be
get
honest
me
with y'all.
screwed on straight, mister. Okay, Cameron, you ready to do that? Can you handle that?
Do what?
You're gonna get me screwed on straight.
Okay, got it.
Whatever the hell that means.
Yeah, whatever. I'm down for anything. There you go.
All right.
But you know, I will tell y'all though, and again, I'm not trying to be a martyr here or anything, but you know, it's even too like, and I love how Lance kind of touched on it a little bit. You don't know where Warner Brothers is going right now, and that kind of scares me a little bit because, you know, it's been talked about quite a bit, and I think it needs to be talked about more. How Warner Brothers scrapped Scoob: A Holiday Haunt, which is going to be, you know, the next Scoob movie. And I'll be honest with you, it made me so angry to see all these people that had their hands dipped in this project, and then they worked so hard and they were so close to the ending. I mean, they were almost done. They just had to do a little bit of tweaks and, you know, finish up a couple things, and the movie was ready, and they scrap it. Wow. And so it breaks my heart. So you know, for everything we're talking about right now tonight, gentlemen, I mean, I guess the only thing I can say is we don't know what direction Warner Brothers is taking. Yeah. And that scares me, to be honest with you, because like I said, I've been a diehard Scooby-Doo fan since I was a kid. So I'm terrified.
So safe bet to say Warner Brothers sucks.
Well, what happened? You know, it happened like literally 2 days ago.
Okay.
Is that they said there's no more Cartoon Network studio.
Oh wow.
That they're going to merge them with the Warner Animation Studio, and that is not going to exist as an entity. It will exist as a, you know, cable channel or a streaming channel, but that studio was always autonomous from where they made Scooby and Batman and so forth. They were doing their own thing over there. And at one time, they had 3 studios. Of course, they had Hanna-Barbera. And that was an autonomous production that they folded into Warner Brothers basically as soon as Bill and Joe and Ewo had passed away. And then the second that happened, boom, we were just in the same building. And I mentioned this earlier, but the very last thing that said a Hanna-Barbera production was the 3rd Scooby-Doo movie. And from then on, they were like, Warner Brothers presents it, you know, with the Shield and Bugs Bunny. That started with Cyber Chase, I think. And that was, you never saw a Hanna-Barbera production again. So all these things that say Cartoon Network, and there are a lot of things that say Cartoon Network, are not going to say Cartoon Network anymore. Was Courage a Cartoon Network product?
Yes.
Yeah. So if they did any more of those, it would just flat out say Warner Brothers on it. You've been absorbed into the Borg Collective.
Right.
And you know, it's funny just going about this whole streaming thing too. And I think Disney, you know, going away from Warner's for a minute, Disney's the perfect model of it. You know, all their Disney Plus content, you know, like Obi-Wan, the WandaVision, all the Marvel shows, and I would almost even guarantee Hocus Pocus 2, which is like their huge cash cow right now. Those will probably never ever see a physical media print because they don't want people to buy Hocus Pocus 2. They want people to subscribe to watch Hocus Pocus 2. But in the case of Warner Brothers, and I forgot what show it was. There was a Cartoon Network show that they had pulled off of HBO Max, and then I was reading an article how all of a sudden, like, the prices on eBay for this particular show, the DVD, the skyrocketing into the hundreds to get this DVD because the fans of the show had no place to watch it anymore. So I think it's interesting to see where the streaming thing is going to go because, like Cam was saying, all these people have put their hands into it, and a lot of people are resting all their laurels and like, oh, you know, Netflix, HBO, Disney, they're going to pick up my show. But then what happens when one of these streaming services, which it's now their property, they say, we're not going to air it now, you know, or it goes away. So people are going to want to buy DVDs. So I think just like vinyl, I think at some point we're going to see a resurgence of whether it be Blu-ray, DVDs, or some other kind of physical media. I mean, people are people are buying VHS tapes now for like hundreds of dollars, which is funny. But I don't.
Wow.
I think it's going to dip, but I think we're going to find our way back to physical media again because, again, you know what? HBO, like this is mine. I can, nobody can tell me when I can and cannot watch it. Somebody's not going to come out and take it from me. Like
You can put it up on your shelf. Marty signs it for you. Big Shot Marty signs it for you. You put it on the shelf.
Marty, I have Matthew Lillard sign this. Come on.
That's right.
But that's I think, and again, I think with this whole thing that's going on with Warner's right now and HBO Max, I think the world is watching to see because this is really going to determine where the streaming world goes in the physical.
Wow, so this movie is on HBO Max now?
It is, or it's either it is or it's coming in the next like week or two.
And then once it's on HBO Max, how long does it stay there?
Until they decide to take it down.
So it's just like part of the library.
Part of the library there, yep. So,
and they also air it on
Cartoon Network.
So they're airing it at certain times.
Correct.
We can actually watch it at 8:00.
Correct.
Wow.
You're on TV. You might be on TV right now, Marty. Someone is watching Courage right now.
I'm gonna residual.
It's already on HBO Max.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Cam.
You're welcome. I had to think about it.
So because I know I promised Lance and Marty a little quick pop-ins here, but because I do want to chat with Cam a little bit more too. So Lance and Marty, before I let you guys go, I'm already going to tell me what's your favorite Scooby. I already know what your favorite Scooby is, but Lance, like what is your favorite Scooby show, incarnation, movie, what have you?
I really have a thing about Pup Scooby. I think there's something really friggin' charming about it.
Amen.
So, like I'm putting my stuff aside besides my stuff. I kind of have a real fondness for that.
There's a night, like you said, the charm. There's an innocence too about the gang in that too, which is kind of neat.
It was a good series.
I will tell you this again, full transparency. I want it to be known, that if I die, let's say before the show is over, when you talk about it, Marty was always transparent. God bless him. So now I forgot what I was going to say. Anyway, what I did for a bit, transparency. Oh, Scooby. I'll be honest, I never really watched Scooby-Doo when I was growing up. It was just not something that I watched. I'd see it would come and go and whatever it would be. I just never jumped on it. But from this movie, I actually got a kick out of those characters of Scooby-Doo. And I did I did enjoy the live action versions of Scooby-Doo. So those I did see. Yeah, and so I got a kick out of that, and I'm thinking, I like Scooby-Doo now. Like I didn't know him really. Now I like Scooby-Doo, so I felt good. Like I found the new thing, 60 years later. How many?
3 years later. Wow,
crazy. 53 years later. Yeah.
and I'm sure he'll go strong for another 53 years.
Not on this earth anymore. Yeah.
Well, and I do want to throw out there with you too, Marty. So, I mean, in this flick, you are a Scooby villain as well.
Oh yeah.
So you're the clown. Is that
you knew that, right, Cam?
Yes, sir.
Of course, you knew everything.
I always research before I watch it.
Yeah, I played the crazy. What do they call him? Crazy clown guy.
The clown that you had, it was just a regular clown that was, what I mean, that was on there. But the ghost clown is what's known from Scooby-Doo, though.
Oh, so that's the character I played.
Well, it wasn't that exact clown, but it was just a regular. So.
Who was that?
They heard the ghost clown.
That is frightening. We're talking about the ghost clown, and right on cue, the barking. That's unbelievable. All right, so that clown is not a typical Scooby villain. It's, you know, similar, but it's sort of its own character.
Yeah.
All right, I didn't realize that.
Yeah. But it was good though. Like I said, you did an excellent job in that movie. So
thank you, man.
Of course.
Cool. So Marty, I'll let you go as well, because I know you have some other things that you had to get through tonight. And Lance, I know you know we kept you a bit too. But I want to thank the both of you guys for joining me and Cam. And Cam and I are going to talk a little bit more, a couple of collectible things. But Lance, Marty, it was great to have you guys with us here.
Thanks, man.
Talking about Scooby and
pleasure meeting you, Lance, and
Marty, you too.
Yeah.
And good to see you guys. And take care.
And good to see you, Cam.
Good to see you, Lance. Good to see you, Marty.
Please, Mike, let me know what Cam says about me behind my back, please. All right.
See you later, Marty.
All right.
Bye, Marty.
Bye-bye.
Bye. But that, you know, and you see, and that was great. Thanks for Marty and Lance for joining us. But I mean, that's the beauty of Scooby-Doo, is it brings like so many crazy things together.
God, they were great. I love that. I mean, they were along for the ride. I mean, they're great guys. Both of them are just absolutely.
Went a little bit further with it, but it was great. I want to talk. I mean, I see some collectibles. I want to talk Scooby collectibles.
Okay, let's talk it.
So what are some of your favorite pieces that you have?
Like top pieces out of my collection, or just random ones?
Either.
Okay. So some of the top ones I have is the Scooby-Doo statue from the Warner Brothers store. He's too big to be up here. He's in my studio. So he's all on my social media, but he's the sorry, I'm lost for words right now. I don't know why. He's the life-size Scooby-Doo statue. And actually this Shaggy right behind me, that's kind of horrific.
I want to know about that. What is that, like a photo op kind of Shaggy?
Yeah, so there's a metal base and Scooby-Doo sits on it. I had to drive all the way to Colorado to go get this Scooby. I had to put him in a U-Haul trailer to bring him home. And but anyways, this Shaggy goes right next to it. And so when people walked into the Warner Brothers store, which was in malls all across America, that people would put their face in the Shaggy and then they would take a picture with the Scooby statue. So that's probably one of my top. I've never seen another like it. So when this guy reached out to me and said, hey, you know, would you want this? And I was like, let me run a U-Haul trailer and I'll be right up there. So I did a video about it. I did a whole journey, me going up to Colorado. It was a lot of fun. So that's one of my top pieces. And you know, I've got a lot of pieces in my collection that were actually used into making Scooby-Doo. I've got some cells, you know, that were, and I've got some stuff that has been signed by people. I actually got a I wish I could pull it out for this video tonight, but I will. When I post it, I'll tag you. But it's an original villain sheet from Bob Singer. And so for anybody that doesn't know who Bob Singer is, Bob Singer actually he actually, you know, designed and you know, put up the flower power on the Mystery Machine, and he did a lot of the villains in Scooby-Doo, like Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? Yeah. So this guy was there since the beginning of Scooby-Doo in 1969. So, you know, I've been blessed with a lot of cool collectibles. I'll show you one real quick. Hang on real quick. Just let me step away for 1 second.
Grab something too. Guys, talk amongst yourself, because I want to grab a quick thing here that I posted as well. I mean, we're both running to grab something fun.
I know I should have had these nearby, but I
grabbed a couple of things. I forgot this one, but go. You show me what you got. I'm gonna show you my favorite side.
So I did a cool story about this not too long ago on my social media, and people just ate it up. They loved it, everything about it. So, did you know who Derek J. Wyatt was?
No.
Okay, so Derek J. Wyatt, he worked on Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated, and he worked on a lot of other cool shows like Ben 10 Omniverse and just a lot of other cartoon shows. He actually passed away sadly last year, and he was a pretty young guy. And so, a good friend of mine, his name is Bradford, and he writes a lot of Scooby-Doo stuff in the community. He wants to be a writer for Scooby-Doo one day, which I know he's going to be. I know he's going to make it one day. He's fantastic. But he was actually in Los Angeles. And he stopped at a vintage antique shop, and he found these, and they were actually owned by Derek J. Wyatt. So these are the part 1 and part 2 character reference guides from the Hanna-Barbera, And so on the inside, which I think is just, it's freaking awesome. It says from the estate of Derek J. Wyatt. And it says from 1972 to 2020. Oh, so if I can get this, sorry, I'm trying to get it in the camera.
Yeah,
Where am I
give
going?
you the full screen. Hold on. Let me give you
There we go. It says from the estate of Derek J. Wyatt from 1972 to 2021.
Interesting.
So these books have been with Derek since he's been a Scooby-Doo fan and since he's worked on Scooby-Doo. So when Bradford saw these, he said, "Hey Cam," he said, "I don't need them, but do you want these?" And so I sent the money over and he got them. But these are expensive books and they're very hard to come by. But I mean, you open them up and I mean, there's.
I was gonna ask, like, if you want to hold them up, I'm gonna give you the screen again.
Yeah, for sure. Let me turn them around so you can see them. It's just basically the character reference guides. You got some information in there. I mean, you got look at Scooby Dum, Flim Flam. It just kind of talks about characters. Kind of you go in here, it talks a little bit more, a little bit of fun trivia, and that's part one. Then you go over to part two, and like I said, just kind of talks more about the show when it first started. Some really cool, some sketch models they did for Scooby Doo. So. I'm very blessed for these books. I put them in a glass case, but I wanted to bring them out tonight to talk about. So I got this recently, but it's cool when you get something from somebody else's collection that actually had their hands dipped in Scooby-Doo. And I don't know why. And I don't know why, but everybody always asks me what's my favorite stuff to collect of Scooby-Doo. Man, it's the stuff that was used to make Scooby-Doo. And the promotional stuff, the stuff that was in stores and people throw away or never want to see again. I love that stuff. It's always been it's been fun the most collecting that stuff. But that's me. That's me. What about you? Do you have anything?
Well, you mentioned the promotional stuff. So I worked at, for those who don't know watching, there used to be this wonderful store called Suncoast back in, the 90s, right? It was part of the Sam Goody chain. And obviously Suncoast sold VHS. So while I was working there, I got the 27 by, and I was I have them still, and they're fantastic. The 27 by 40 posters for Zombie Island, and dude, I wanted to put those up tonight, but I was going through my stuff. I can't find them. I was gonna switch out. I got my Obi-Wan behind me, but whatever. I have those though. My son loves them. I put them up once in a while for him. I'll switch because we have pit posters down here, so I switch him out. He loves those, and the Zombie Island
is awesome.
But I'll show you a cool piece. So years ago, you probably have this piece.
I do.
Right?
It's a beautiful piece.
So somebody, 20 years ago, again, right? Mm-hmm. At least, purchased this for me as a gift, right?
Oh, I love that.
I got it for Christmas, right? Little did the person know, what they bought, and I looked on the back. I'm like, what the hell is this, right? Because so you got your farewell, and so I'm assuming this was done at a Warner Brothers store, but you turn it on the back.
Iwa Takamoto.
There you go.
There you go. That is so freaking cool.
I'm like that is a
that is neat, dude.
Just like you're fine. Ironically, we both have like these cool things that somebody key to the franchise. Like that Iwa Takamoto is like, just like there with Bill and Joe. Right up.
Oh my gosh. Well, without Iwo, you know what I mean? Scooby wouldn't be the way he is. I mean, he designed Scooby Doo. You know what I mean? So for you to have that, I mean, dude, that's a really cool piece.
Yeah, I mean, and about Don Messick and stuff like that. It's just it's awesome. But yeah.
Oh yeah.
What a cool find. And I pulled out a cool toy, and I mean, this is one of those like little they haven't really made good Scooby toys, first of all, right?
I mean, there's been a couple that I've really just loved growing up as a kid, but yeah, I know what you mean. They could have really done more figure lines.
There hasn't been like a good key quality fit. I'm surprised. Like what was it? NECA or somebody was doing a Scooby line there, or there was something that was going to be coming out, like a more higher.
I feel like more nowadays. There's better toys, better quality. I mean, I'm seeing so. I mean, I'll be honest with you, it's hard to keep up as a Scooby collector because I mean, there's so much stuff being released like every week. I mean, companies are cranking out because it's a money making thing, Scooby Doo. But I feel like there's a lot of stuff nowadays that I would have loved to have as a kid, like Figures Toy Company, Handmade by Robots. Yeah. I mean, there's so many cool Funko. there's so many cool stuff now going on nowadays that
maybe Super 7 should do like a reaction line of Scooby. That'd be awesome.
That would be really cool. That would be really cool. But I'll be honest with you, there's a lot of cool stuff in the works at Mezco Toy Company.
That's the company I was thinking about, though, because I remember a Toy Fair a couple of years ago. They were doing like the
haunted house and the villains, and yeah, I can't wait for that. I know it's going to be taking a little bit, but dude, those look so good. And then Funko is going to be releasing some more Scooby-Doo. They're going to be doing a Scooby-Doo times Looney Tune line. So it'll be the Looney Tunes character dressed up as a Scooby Gang. I think that's going to be really fun.
That's funny.
Yeah. So that'll be fun. But yeah, there's, like I said, there's so many routes that merchandise has been taking lately. I don't get me wrong. When I was a kid, I've got some cool stuff. The vintage stuff, I'm looking behind me. Vintage stuff is more my style. I mean, I love everything Scooby-Doo. I see
the Blockbuster exclusive Scooby-Doo or VHS behind you there next to Shaggy's shoulder. The blue one.
This one right here?
Yeah, the Blockbuster exclusive.
Yes.
I remember I had that.
So this was this isn't the Blockbuster, but this is the classic, and it's Mind Your Business and a decoy for a dog napper. But I do have the Blockbuster one.
Because it had the red, it had the yellow, the black and orange on there.
Yes. And like, for example, like, here's like an old trophy, like from the old Scooby-Doo series, it says I'll try anything once. And so like,
nice.
So these are from the old 70s. And then I got, a pup named Scooby-Doo whistle, that they made, and they only made a couple and they canceled the line. And so, I mean,
that would have been a great toy line. A pup named
It would have been a great toy line. I was talking with a couple people in the fandom the other day. My goodness, I'll just set this right here for right now. I was talking with a couple people in the fandom the other day, and they were like, why did a pup named Scooby-Doo not have the merchandise that it needed to have? And that was a tough one. And I said, they have got the 2 plushes that they released. They have a lunchbox and a thermos that went with it. I got those. I got the comic book. They only did one comic book. Yep. And I got some pup named Scooby-Doo. There's a figure of pup named Scooby-Doo in there.
Yep. The little applause figure.
The little applause, yeah. But between you and me, I'm telling you, it's weird. It's almost like when they were going through that a pup named Scooby-Doo era. I mean, the 13 Ghosts, they really weren't doing a lot of merchandise for Scooby-Doo. It was really scarce.
And at that point, Flintstone Kids had their own. Coleco did their line of Flintstone Kid toys, which
my god!
So imagine if Coleco did like, hey, we're gonna do pup named Scooby. I remember as a kid, I was like hoping, I was like, cool, they got Flintstone Kids. We're gonna do pup named Scooby. I mean, I we'd had the gang, Red Herring, I would guess. I don't know if there'd be any other, maybe a couple of monsters, but that would be
yeah. No, for sure. And don't be wrong. I love the Flintstones. I love the Jetsons, but dude, I mean, if we're talking, Scooby-Doo has surpassed them. I mean, don't get me wrong, they're great cartoons. I'm not discrediting them at one bit, but I mean, out of all of Hanna-Barbera, Scooby-Doo has just kept it alive. You know what I mean? I mean, so I would have loved to see them pour a little bit more money and time back then, in the past into Scooby-Doo. I mean, they've given us great content, great stuff, but I mean, I don't know. I felt like if they would have really amped it up back then, I mean, we really would have had a lot of great merchandise, that stuff that I could just, I mean, there's barely anything for Scooby-Dum. I mean, there's not even anything for Scooby-D. There's going to be like 2 pieces.
I have the Scooby-Doo Funko Pop.
Yeah.
And then my son and I've got a 9-year-old, and he's a Scooby fan. So
oh, I love it.
We bought we were at the flea market and we found like one of those like Burger King Scooby-Doo figures. A little Scopy and repainted and made our own little Scooby-Dum figures.
I love it. Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
Good. But here's another cool flea market find I'll show you. And I'm sure you
yes, please. Heck, I love seeing anything Scooby-Doo.
The reason that I love this one is because you talked about rare characters, and this is again a random character. But this little skateboard.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, from the Boo Brothers
on it, So, and that's why I was like,
that's a great piece, dude.
Because this is people are like, who the hell are the Boo Brothers? As fans, we know who they are.
Yeah. Well, and I feel like the Wendy's is about to do another fast food toy line with Scooby-Doo.
Yes, I saw that.
Oh my god, I hope they release soon. I'll be honest, everybody's been messaging me going, when is it going to release? And I'm like, I wish I knew. I've been trying to get intel in on it. You would think for Scoobtober they would have already released it. They're doing some kind of stupid bracelet thing right now on the Wendy's. Oh my gosh, it's making me so mad.
are they figures, or is it going to be like a coloring book?
It's called Pop-Up Mysteries. So
Yeah.
only thing I could think of, and the banner that shows it on the website is that it's Captain Cutler on this side. Sorry, my camera. Captain Cutler on this side and Scooby-Doo on this side. But it's called Scooby-Doo Pop-Up Mystery. So I'm thinking maybe they're pop-up books. But again, I have no earthly idea. I'm thinking that they're going to release more towards the end of October, the beginning of November, because that's how Wendy's has done it. They always introduce something at the beginning of a month, run it through the month. But I mean, what a missed opportunity, especially for Scoobtober. You know what I mean? Like,
well, you know what I'm wondering too. You're saying like they're going to do it at the end of the month. How much you want to make a bet that was probably planned to do that to tie in to the Christmas movie?
You know what? Probably. You know, because with everything, and you're right. You're probably hitting the nail on the head, because you think about it. Sometimes things do get delayed. Like, for example, like when Scoob was supposed to come out in theaters, and COVID hit, and then like I think it was.
Were you upset
about Scoob?
We were upset about COVID, but I think outside of that, I'm like, I got to see this in the theater.
I finally went and saw it in the theater. And a lot of people showed up. I honestly thought it was just going to be a bust, just because it was just a little dinky movie theater I went to. I caught a random time, but I went with my mom, and she was like, I was like, come on, let's go. We went on a Sunday afternoon, and a lot of people showed up, and it was so much better seeing it in theater versus just watching it at home. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, you're sitting at home, you can be in your pajamas, eating your snacks and whatever, watch the movie, right? But God, it killed me. I commend these people that have worked on Scoob. I mean, they have gone through COVID with the first one, and then the second one, they literally had this project ripped right out from underneath them. And my heart breaks for these people. I mean, we stop. I mean, I know we're Scooby fans, but if we stop and just think about it, these are people's livelihoods. This is what people, you know what I mean? They profit off this movie, and you just rip it out from underneath them. Like, I don't know. That really upset me, and it really sparked a lot in the community. I mean, a lot of the hashtag, Save Scoob Holiday Haunt, was going on. Which, by the way, if anybody's watching, please do that, because we want to see that movie get released.
I have a feeling between that and Batgirl at some point.
Hopefully,
both of those, because they were both so far along in the process.
Yeah,
I have a feeling that we'll see them at some point. I
mean, fingers crossed, dude. But you never know.
And again, depending on what's going on. But then again, there's other Scooby things that I know are in the pipeline. Like we just saw Comic-Con this past week. Velma's coming. It was funny. I work in a school, and some of the kids they know I'm Scooby fans, and one of the kids came up to me. He's like, "Are you gonna watch this? They don't even have the dog." And I'm like, "Well, it's a different take on it. It's a different version." Yeah. My 9-year-old's not gonna watch this one. I think you and we're the right age to watch this new Velma show.
Right.
It'll be interesting to see what it is, but I know that's coming. But then the other one and it's funny, with Marty here before, and again, I joke with Marty all the time. I'm like, "Oh, you're a Scooby 37," because he kind of was, right?
Right.
I don't know what the actual number was, but I know I'm assuming it must be done, but I know Scooby-Doo and Crypto 2 has been talked about forever. I'm assuming. I mean, I was definitely thinking that was going to be out like by now to like tie into Super Pets, And again, that would have been the time.
A lot of people were thinking about it. It got talked about last year and the year before. Yeah. It got hinted at, but we got screenshots from the actual movie. So I haven't posted about it yet, just because I wanted to make sure things were legit. But I started seeing, comic book resource and a couple other places.
It's coming.
It is coming. It is.
No, is it based off of the Crypto the Superdog series? Because I remember watching that show. That was Scott Gerald and Scott Ollie.
It's I don't know. All I've seen is just a couple of screenshots, and I will be posting them soon. So be on the lookout for that. But it's a lot of the villains around Scooby, like the Joker, and a lot of the villains, and some of the Legion, not the Legion of Doom, but I'm sorry, I'm not a big DC Comics guy. Yeah. It's the future kids like Supergirl and all them. Yes. So it's them, and it's kind of like Shaggy and Scooby are in the future. There's one scene where Shaggy and Scooby are running on a treadmill. I don't know what that has to do with anything, but a lot of DC characters around them. I haven't seen Crypto on there though yet. You know, like you would think you would see Crypto and Scooby in a screenshot, but it's DC characters around Scooby.
Gotcha.
A lot of people have speculated maybe this has just been someone, you know, playing around in Photoshop and made this.
Or I'm now wondering, is this part of this comic book that just returned too? Who the heck knows?
You know, to be honest with you, but you know, it's kind of the same rumors kind of fell in the same line with Scooby and Courage, and you know, we thought it was gonna be fake. We kind of got, you know, a couple little looks, you know, little teases, and then kind of the same with Crypto. It kind of looks just kind of the same with the Courage. I think it's gonna happen. I mean, you know, especially with them doing the DC, you know, Super Pet movies they just did with, you know, Dwayne The Rock and Kevin Hart for sure.
Yeah. What other like in the world of crossovers? Where would you like to see? Because I mean, we've had Batman, we just had Scooby Doo Guess Who, and I mean, going back to Courage, from what I understand too, and Marty and I have talked about this. I believe that originally started as an episode of Scooby Doo and Guess Who, and then I think somebody had the bright idea, let's just turn this into a feature film. But crossover wise, who would you like to see Scooby ideally? In the realm of reality with Warner Brothers, who would you like to see Scooby team up with?
Well, he is a Hanna-Barbera character, and I wish Lance would have heard this, but if Lance does watch this, I think he'll smile when he hears this. Johnny Quest. I love Johnny Quest. Now, don't be wrong, Scooby-Doo is my main cartoon, but I do have a little small collection of Johnny Quest as well. I grew up with Johnny Quest, and I love that, you know, Hanna-Barbera did, you know, Scooby-Doo and, you know, did Yogi and all them. And kind of, I loved how Laugh Olympics kind of broke everything up, because you think about it, like some things in the Hanna-Barbera universe, like don't be wrong, it was all Hanna-Barbera, but some things were broken up. Like Space Ghost was not like anywhere in the world of Scooby. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So some things were broken up into, yes, it's Hanna-Barbera, but they're in different worlds. They're in different shows.
Exactly.
We've got we got a Scooby-Doo and Johnny Quest comic book.
Yes.
A couple, you know, quite a bit years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But I would love to see it, because I did watch that, like Lance was talking about earlier, the Johnny Quest and Tom and Jerry movie. I watched it. I thought it was phenomenal. And I think Johnny Quest and Scooby-Doo would just be such a fun movie, you know.
I mean,
I would like to see
we got a hint of that at the end of Scoob too, because we see Benton Quest.
Yes. Thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, you know, I one thing I did like about when they did the Scoob movie is they did kind of, you know, branch out into the Hanna-Barbera universe, which, by the way, why are we not? You know, we've only seen some cameos. Like, take, for example, Space Jam 2. You know, I watched that movie, and then, like, when they're about to start the basketball game, you know, all the Hanna-Barbera characters are running out. Yeah. I'm thinking to myself, Warner Brothers, you know, start using these characters. You know, pull them from the archives, and my God, bring them to light. You know, I mean, they will be so great.
Well, that was the thing with Scoob, is like that, you know, seeing it in the theater, and you know, especially when the poster had come out, and I mean, just as COVID was starting, we saw what the poster was, you know, and I'm sure for you, you know, like, you know, teenage Cam, teenage Mike here, who'd have ever dreamt that Blue Falcon, Dynamite, and Dee Dee, let alone Scooby, were going to be on a freaking movie poster?
Oh, I know. Yeah. And it was cool to see. And when I first heard about it, like when the rumors came up about Scoob and like there being like Captain Caveman and Dynamite, I was excited, because I'm thinking to myself, it brought me back to Laugh Olympics. You know what I mean? And like you and me, we both grew up on Laugh Olympics. It's one of my top 5 series. I loved it.
Love those characters now. That's the thing.
No, they don't. No, like when I, you know, if you say, oh, Speed Buggy, people are like, who? And I'm like, I love Speed Buggy. I love the series Speed Buggy. You know, I loved Weird Woods of Wyona, which today is the 49th anniversary of that, since it came out. But yeah, I mean, Speed Buggy, you know, Great Babe. You know, I mean, just yeah. But yeah, so many great Hanna-Barbera characters. So
back to team-ups.
Yeah, and you know, I'll be honest with you, and this is just me being personal. I love country music, and I actually work for Eva McEntire. She's a country music singer, and so I've always Scott Ennis knows her, and she knows Scott, and so when she has a kid, and he's much older now, but when he was a little boy, Scott used to do some Scooby-Doo stuff for him because he loves Scooby-Doo. Yeah. And so I thought to myself, okay, I know this is kind of all far-fetched, but like a Reba meets Scooby-Doo would be so much fun. I mean, that's just me being personal, but I don't know. I could dream, right?
Yeah. Well, you know, thinking of weird team ups, it's funny. And I actually I purchased, I guess, some pencil animation from it back in the 80s. Hanna-Barbera was doing Happy Days cartoons.
Yes.
And I know there's some promotional shots that are out there because it was going to be Scooby-Doo and the Fonz.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, so there's a promotional shot of Fonz holding Scooby, you know, and then there's some and I found this online, and they were selling like a series of it, but it looked like they were like almost doing like opening credit. They did like some pencil work on opening credits. So I picked up a few of the pencil animation things from that.
Right on.
Yeah,
right on.
And it's funny. I saw Henry Winkler at a show, and he signed it for me. But
cool.
But I mean, he of course he remembered his cartoon. He's like I did not know that. But from what I understand, the premise was he wrote the possibilities on it. But from what I understand, the premise was it was going to be Scooby, Shaggy, and the Fonz.
Oh, that would have been fun.
Because again, it was just 1980. Everybody loved the Fonz. Everybody loved Scooby. That talk about like a weird like breathing life into Scooby at that point.
Oh yeah. And, you know, I love to, you know, the new Scooby-Doo movies because, you know, they really teamed up with a lot of, you know, Mama Cass Elliott and, you know, Sandy Duncan, a lot of these legends, you know, back in the earlier days, which, you know, by the way, when people say them nowadays, you know, some people do remember them, but not a lot of people do. It breaks my heart because these people were legends and icons. I mean, I grew up watching the Andy Griffith Show and Scooby-Doo, you know what I mean? All these old stuff, you know, so.
See, for me, like that's the one Scooby-Doo show. And listen, I grew up. That was one of my main ones growing up. I watched it, but like for me, that there's a few episodes that I'll go back and watch. But for me, it's like, kind of what Lance was talking about.
It dragged on a little bit, to be honest with you. It was a good series, and I do appreciate it. But I felt like, you know, 30 minutes is good for Scooby. Exactly. And don't get me wrong. I mean, I could sit there and watch Scooby Doo till the day I die. I mean, that's just me. But to capture a mystery and to capture everything that you're going to do, an hour is tough. I will say, like the Addams Family one, Josie and the Pussycats, like those ones, Speed Buggy, like I could watch those over. The Addams Family. Yeah, for sure. But you know, like you have some that are just, you know, Jerry Reed. You know, I mean, that was a good one. I liked it, but you know, it did run on a little long. You know, and sometimes it did feel like it was dragging a little bit. And and some people do feel that way as well in the community. You know, it's not one of my top series, just as a fact as it does drag on quite a bit. And you know, and I'll be honest with you, you kind of see it in the new Scooby-Doo movies, like some of the animation, I mean, is great, but you know, like there's some scenes where it's just, you know, repetitive use of some scenes and some character slides and stuff. So, you know, sometimes you're like, okay, I think this was just budgeting on Hanna-Barbera's part. But you know, that's a good one that we liked. The Scooby-Doo show came after that. So that's then the Scooby-Doo, and that's why I tell you, they knew what they were doing. You know what I mean? So they knew they had to get back to the 30-minute mark, and they knew they had to, you know, and I felt like they were just amped up, and they knew what, you know, they were ready to roll. And like you said, you know, it was like dun, 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 you know, the Hanna-Barbera presents, you know, the Scooby-Doo show. Like it was phenomenal. It kind of like you were just saying a little bit ago about the Fonz, you know, they were going to do that, you know, that Scooby-Doo, you know, show with him crossover. They hinted at that when they did Scooby Goes Hollywood, because they did Scooby Days. Remember that? Yeah. So they kind of hinted at it. And so you're right. And so there's been a lot of projects. I mean, I remember they were going to do a show called Hanna-Barbera Babies, you know, where all the Hanna-Barbera characters were babies. There's a cell out there about it. My God, I'd love to get my hands on it. It's just, but it's Puppy Scooby. Like he's like, not, you know, he's in a diaper, and you know, they're all in diapers. And I mean, it's just a cute turtle, all the random characters. Yeah. And so it's a cute show. I mean, I thought, you know, hey, that would be great, but again, you know, it was back in the 70s, back going into the 70s, 80s. So, you know, back then maybe people didn't want to see that. I mean, I know nowadays people would love to see that, you know, but you know, it's different audiences and different times, and what's popular back then versus what's popular now. Yeah, so. And that's the thing, is like Scooby just you know, and that's why I was kind of like talking with Lance about too, is like what keeps it fresh, because I mean, we've kind of, I mean, I don't want to say they've met every monster, but they probably met like every kind of monster, like, and how do they keep it fresh? And I guess at this point now, doing these team ups is a safe bet. It is a safe bet. I think a lot of people like it when you take two franchises and merge them together, and it does work. I remember there, like Scooby and Batman are just phenomenal. Whether it's a comic book series or the movies or the shows, Batman's always just been with Scooby Doo, and it's been phenomenal.
Guess who was good because when they were doing Kenan Thompson, Penn and Teller, it's like, okay, cool, because you're just working off of those people.
I'll be honest with you. Some of those Guess Who episodes they did, I didn't even know who half those people were.
I agree.
I hate to say it, but like some of these, I had to look them up. I'm like, oh, this is like a professional wrestler, and this one's like professional figure skater. I'm like, I have never heard these people in my life. So it kind of random a little bit when they did Scooby Doo and Guess Who, but good show nonetheless. I like how they kept the animation style and they kept it light and fun. To me, it's like you said a second ago. Scooby's done everything. Scooby's solved every monster that you can think of. He's been to space. He's been to Egypt. He's been, he's been all over the world. He's been to the, wherever he's gone. He's been in a video game. I mean, he's done it all. So you're right. It's hard to predict where they're going to go next with the franchise. It's hard to predict where they're going to take Scooby next. I just hope and pray that when they do take Scooby-Doo in the future, that they do keep it pure, they do keep it light, they do keep it fun, because Scooby-Doo was created for kids, and it's like kind of we talked about this Velma series that's coming out.
Yeah,
I'm a little nervous. I am a little nervous just because, and I know it's meant for adults, but I could go down a rabbit hole with it, and but it worries me. It really does. I'm thinking to myself, it's you got to be careful where you step and what you do. Some people want to branch out, want to try to be adventurous with it. Well, I can see where people want to and why, and I think that's tremendous, and I think that's a great. I think that's good that you want to keep on doing it with Scooby, but
well, they even talked recently about doing a third live action film with Matthew Lillard and all of them.
I think that'd be fun. I think that'd be a lot of fun to see them come back.
I'd love to. Have you met Matthew Lillard?
To be honest with you, no. A lot of people think I've met. Excuse me. A lot of people think I've met a lot of the people. No, I haven't met any of the live. The only live action I've met is Scott. As far as live action, talked to a lot of other people that had their hands dipped in the live action, but it's sad. I actually had a thing come up, a family thing, but Scott actually came to Houston, Texas, and I should have went. God, I should have went. I was going to, and go to the Comic-Con to go see him, but it just didn't work out. So
yeah.
But you got to meet Matthew, didn't you?
A few times, and with Marty yelled at him. It was great.
Oh, that's so cool. That's fun.
But yeah, no, and for anybody watching, Matthew Lillard is just phenomenal.
Oh
yeah. And I he'd take like I met him. I met him with Marty, and I met him twice with my son. And when there were kids around, like kids are the number one priority to him, because he knows the mission of Shaggy. Like, you talk about this pureness. He knows what the legacy of that character is and how important it is to adults, but also to the kids. And the kids are his number one priority, which is fantastic.
He's a great guy.
Super guy.
Yeah.
Super guy.
Yeah.
Super guy. And the other thing I just throw out there too, you sort of mentioned, we're talking about this adult HBO show, which obviously is in the vein of Harley Quinn that they do there. But we got this past week with Trick or Treat Scooby-Doo, this new revelation about Velma, which has been hinted at for many, many years.
Right.
It's kind of curious to see where Warner's will go with that as well.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. When I did watch Trick or Treat Scooby-Doo, and I'm not going to do any spoilers for anybody's watching. I don't want to do that. I want everybody to enjoy Trick or Treat Scooby-Doo. But, Velma does have a love interest in there.
Yeah.
And you can see it from trailers and clips that they've, Warner Brothers have released.
Once they came, media blasted that, because
yeah. I'll be honest with you, and this is, and I don't want people to take it as me being, homophobic, which I'm not. I have people in my family and friends that are gay, and I love them just the same. I'm a very chillax guy. I love everybody. This is who I am. But I will say though, what them doing the new Velma series, it's hard when you have a character that you've had around for 50 years. And it's hard when you take that character and start trying to change that character. And again, I don't want people to watch this and think that I'm being negative. I'm not. It's just hard when you do that. You know, if they threw a gay character and Scooby-Doo, or some characters in Scooby-Doo that were different ethnicities and different cultures, and you know, that's fine with me. I have no problem with that. And so that just shows that I don't really have a problem, and I'm not homophobic, and I don't have a problem. But I have a problem when you, like for the Velma series, you know, they're making Shaggy black, and they're making, you know, Velma this, you know, I think it's you know, East Asian, if I'm not mistaken, you know, for the ethnicity. But that's hard. That's hard when you take a character for over 50 years and you start trying to, you know, work what you want to work in there. And again, I'm not trying to be negative about it. I'm just saying it's, yeah, I don't know where they're going to take this, to be honest with you.
Well, what I will say is, I think the comics definitely hinted at this. I mean, could we see a Scooby-Doo multiverse at some point in time?
You know, I love that you bring that up. I truly do. We saw in the comic book that image went crazy wild on the internet. You know, from the different, you know, Scooby and Shaggy running with all their different multiverse, you know, Velma and Daphne and Freddy. I loved it. I thought it was excellent. I think they should, because, you know, not every Scooby-Doo ties into every, you know, universe. You know what I mean? So not every, you know, like for example, you know, the Boo Brothers doesn't really tie in well with Zombie Island. You know what I mean? So everything is of a different origin. Everything is a different origin story. I would like to, and like I told you, I think the two next things, if anybody was going to ask me where I would like to see the Scooby-Doo franchise go, I like to see a Scooby-Doo family movie done well and done right, you know, and have all his family, you know, everybody in there, like family reunion. And then, excuse me, it's allergies. That's why my throat's kind of closing up. And then, a Scooby-Doo multiverse movie. I think that would be just phenomenal. And I, you know, just something fun, you know, and then trying to go and, you know, Lego Scooby-Doo, you know, meets a pup named Scooby-Doo, meets, you know what I mean? So
I think, and again, that goes back to, like, you know, so they're trying something new with Velma,
right.
You know, and then like you said, you had the Lego, you have the live action ones. So, I mean, yeah, there's so many ways. And I mean, going back to the Velma show, I think it has potential. You know, and that I think that's not for the kids, it's for us. But
right.
You know, and it's just, you know, like if they did that, like horror, because horror's popular, and I think, you know, it's funny, like, you know, talking about the figures I have, and people do, they have like the Scooby figures that they put out years ago, but the Toonie Terrors, I have a bunch of those. I bought the Elvira Toonie Terror because Elvira was in the Scooby Doo movies.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think after 53 years, there's so many different interpretations of Scooby and these characters, you know.
And I love how you have the attitude of being optimistic and positive about it. You have to be.
Yeah.
You know, I haven't really posted much about Velma.
Yeah.
Just because, you know, I'm not really crazy about where they're taking that. But, you know, I think I will give the first episode a watch.
Of course.
Just to see where they think they're going to be taking it. You know, that teaser trailer they did, it was like a big middle finger to the fans a little bit that were kind of being a little bit hesitant about the Velma series, you know. But again, I don't know. You know, I can't judge a book by its cover, and that's something I really have to work on. I can't judge a project before it comes out. And just seeing the teaser trailer, and from what I've heard and some of the images they've released, you know, I'm not too crazy about it. But again, I'll give it a watch to see.
And you know, Mindy Kaling, I trust Mindy Kaling. You know, she's done like
and I love Mindy Kaling. I really do. So I mean, I love
her show on HBO. Not HBO, man. Never Have I Ever. I think that's a great show. So she does get into that teenage world. So it's going to be interesting to see what she does with the Scooby world.
And you know what? You're right. And she may actually take off well with Velma. It may be an incredible series, you know. So that's my thing. It's I'm going to be optimistic about it right now, and I'm just going to, and you know, again, this is just one take on it. It's not defining the whole franchise. You know what I mean? So I can't say, oh, it's ruining Scooby-Doo. I can't be that person.
You know, because even with this Trick or Treat Scooby movie, again, you multiverses, right? So again, I haven't seen the full movie. You've seen it. It seems like the animation style that's set in the Guess Who world.
It to me, it is with a little bit more of a wacky spin on it, if you ask me. Yeah,
You know?
to me, I mean, I've really seen animation kind of start taking a little bit more of a wacky turn lately, and they really did this with this movie. I was a little hesitant on it just because sometimes with some animations it does work. Like for example, when I first saw the images of Be Cool Scooby Doo,
I was just gonna go
I
there.
hate saying this, I was like, I don't think it's gonna work. I love Be Cool Scooby Doo. I think it's a great series. It's funny.
I agree.
You know what I mean? I mean, I binge watched the whole series, which was like last month or the month before, and I was just like, and John Colton Berry, I know him, great guy. He's worked on Be Cool Scooby Doo.
Yeah, because that same here. My son got me into that one. He's
Yeah.
like, "You got to watch this show." And I'm like, "But this isn't how Scooby looks." And sure enough, I'm like, "Oh, this is okay. This isn't that bad." And
Yeah.
the other show too, which my son was digging, and I didn't, because he's 9. We were just watching them all, and I started, okay, different but okay. Was Scooby Doo and Shaggy and Scooby Doo Get a Clue?
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
To me, it's a little bit more kind of like James Bond meets Scooby Doo.
Yes.
Like they're going on like missions instead of mystery. I mean, it's a mystery, but yeah. I'll be honest with you. Some projects that when I very first started in the Scooby Doo community, we were talking about. I was getting interviewed a lot when I very first started Scooby Doo and Cameron Too, and I thought to myself, really go back and watch these, Cameron. I mean, because I'm ashamed to say I'd really focus on the Scooby Doo show or things that I just absolutely love, and some of the other stuff I'll be like, yeah, I give it a watch. I went back and watched Shaggy and Scooby Doo Get a Clue. I went back and watched Be Cool Scooby Doo. I went back and watched the Cartoon Network live actions, The Mystery Begins and The Curse of the Lake Monster.
Yep.
Those 4, the 2 movies and those 2 series I just said, phenomenal. Yeah. I mean, I took a second look at them, and they did there's some things that were a little cheesy in some of them, and some of them that they kind of try to alternate a little bit and kind of try to mix the formula up a little bit, but it worked, and like some people said, like about the new Velma series, they like kind of mixing up her her ethnicity. You think about it, you go look back at Scooby-Doo Curse of the Lake Monster and Scooby-Doo Mystery Begins, Haley Kiyoko, she played Velma, and she different ethnicity, and it worked. So you're right.
In Daphne and Velma.
Yeah, Daphne and Velma. Yeah. Oh, what do I think about it?
No, I was gonna say, but the girl that played, I can't think of her name. The girl, she's on Descendants, who plays Daphne. But she's biracial. I can't think.
Yes, she was. And then you think about Scoob. Velma was of Latino origin.
Yes, I mean they've.
Yeah.
And so somehow they make it work, But again, it's just
they really do. So I'll be honest with you. I think kind of why I've been a little bit kind of hesitant about the Velma series is because it's just kind of been just bam, bam, bam. You know what I mean? As whereas Scoob and the other ones, it hasn't been really just out there. But again, I could end up loving the Velma series. You know what I mean? So I did watch the panel they did at Comic-Con, the interview they did with the, Mindy and everybody sitting up there. I will say though, the people that are going to be their voice actors, I have followed them, for what they've done in Hollywood, with Mindy and, the other 4. I mean, here's the thing: when you don't have Scooby-Doo and the Mystery Machine in there, and I get that they're just kind of them, in high school and them kind of working it up. That's just kind of tough between you and me, dude. But again, we'll see where it goes. I'm gonna give the first episode a watch, and yeah, hopefully it is Scooby-Doo and Velma and all the characters justice.
And I think and I was reading. I think for that show, I think we'll see Scooby at the end. Whenever
hopefully
it comes to its end, like they'll do something. They'll do something for the fan service, because I think, they try and get that in. And then there's that other Scooby-Doo show that's more of like a kid friendly. But I guess it's more of like
Scooby-Doo and the Mystery Pups.
Correct. Which they're like at a camp or something, right?
Yes. It's going to be Scooby and Shaggy are going to be camp counselors, and they're going to be leading a group of mystery pups through mysteries, and it's really going to be set for more towards toddlers. And kind of like a learning show, kind of like like Sesame Street and all those fun shows for little kids. And I have a nephew and I have a little niece, and when it comes out, I think it's going to be perfect for them. So.
And like you're mentioning that, and there's always going to be that there's always going to be that entry Scooby, I think.
Yes, for sure. But I'll be honest with you, between you and me, I'm kind of tired of them doing origin stories on, with Scooby and them. Like, I just want, we've already had like 3 or 4 origin stories, but again, like we said, kind of like the multiverse, you know what I mean? So maybe it's an origin story for each multiverse, each timeline. And it's kind of cool when you stop and think about the multiverse, you know what I mean? And everything that comes with it. So it's a fun concept.
Yeah. I mean, the world of Scooby-Doo continues, and
it does. And so that's something I had to think about,
And then again, like I was looking at the Hex Girls, I know that there was talk of a Hex Girls series once too. So.
Oh, dude, I'm telling you right now, that would be so awesome to see. I would love to see that, a Hex Girls series pop up, and yeah, and I mean, there's so much potential for that, because I'll be honest with you, the Hex Girls even got merch, without even just anything Scooby-Doo on. It's just been the Hex Girls, and they've done really well. So yeah, I would love to see the Hex Girls pop up for sure.
Yeah. So there's so much.
There is.
Yeah, but no, I mean, listen, we've gone for almost 2 hours, and I don't want to keep you all night. See, you said we could go to like 1 a.m. talking.
Yeah, 1 a.m. Let's do it.
But no, this was great tonight. I definitely want to do this again.
Yes, let's do it. And again, thank you for having me on. You've been so professional with this, so thank you.
Yeah, no, this is fun. And maybe after Velma premieres, we can do this again and do a little rehash of Velma, and then
that sounds good to me.
Maybe we'll reach out to Scott and get Scott in here,
Hey, that sounds good. And Scott loves doing this stuff. Anything.
He's a great guy. He's a great guy.
He really is a great guy.
I just want to throw out here, Rice wants he said that they should use Scrappy, Duke, and Annie again, and that he wants Duke and Annie action figures. So.
Oh yeah, that Scooby-Doo and Scrappy-Doo episode, with Scrappy, where Scrappy takes his day off, and yeah, that would be cool. That would be really cool.
Someone else wants to see a Scooby-Doo live action, and then Trick or Treat Scooby. It was a good movie. I'm looking forward to watching it. Now when it comes out, Hard Media next week.
Yes, please buy Hard Media.
Yeah, keep buying, and because there's other Scooby shows that are not out yet on DVD, right? Is everything out yet or no?
No, the new Scooby-Doo Mysteries is not out on DVD.
There's bits and pieces of them that are out.
There's bits and pieces that are thrown on different DVDs, but as far as and even too, like a pup named Scooby-Doo, I would love to see like a box set remastered. You know what I mean? Like where they actually like go in and redo it and make it still keep the cartoon, but just kind of redo the art a little bit where it's not, because it's back from the 80s. It's a little blurry, and so. Not everything's on DVD like it should be.
Though I'll tell you the one that I would love to see again. So you see the first half of it. So I guess it was what this Scooby and Scrappy do. I guess whatever iteration was, but it was the puppy hour.
Yes,
I would like to see those puppies. The Puppies' Great Adventures.
Yes,
you can't even find them on YouTube.
No, they're on Boomerang. They're all in the Boomerang app, so you can watch all of them on there. And a lot of them and a lot of them popped up on HBO Max too.
Wait, so we can actually watch the Puppies' Great Adventures?
No, you can watch the like the Scooby and so when they did the Puppy Adventures.
I want to see the full hour. I want that full.
Oh yeah. No, they don't have a full hour. They just have this. I thought you meant just a Scooby-Doo part. No,
Yabba-Doo and all that stuff. Yabba-Doo would have to be in your family movie, by the way.
Yes. Yabba-Doo is actually one of my favorite characters.
I like Yabba-Doo.
Yeah, I did too. Yeah,
it was a stupid concept, but whatever. Because how did Scrappy get there? What the heck's going on?
I know, it's like he just wandered out to the desert.
2 episodes he's with them, and now he's in the desert. What the heck's going on? No rhyme or reason. See all this crazy stuff. But no, Cam, this was great tonight.
Yes.
Everybody watching, if you don't already follow, go on to Instagram, Scooby and Cam, and then Incredicon HV. And then what's the where can they find you on Facebook and Twitter?
Yes, so you can find me on Facebook at Scooby and Cameron, and then you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at Scooby and Cam. And be sure and stop by and say hello and talk Scooby with me. I love meeting new fans.
Awesome. All right, my friend. So thank you so much again.
Thank you.
And I just hold tight because we'll end the broadcast and we'll just wrap up off camera. But again, Thank you everybody for tuning in for tonight for Incredicon. We'll see, or IncrediChat. We'll see you next time.